Assalamu alaikum everybody. This is Alqahtani. I'll be presenting Rawan paper with the supervision of Dr. Kowthar Ali. The paper concerns about the challenges of distance education from the point of view of teachers and mothers of pupils with learning difficulties at the primary levels. The abstract of the paper is aim to identify the differences between the constraints of distance education from the perspective of female teachers and mothers of students with learning disabilities in the primary levels. The list of variables considered in this study is the academic level and years of experience of teachers and academics, the job, social and economic levels of mothers. Due to the nature of this study, a comparative descriptive approach was used in this study through selecting a sample of 18 teachers and 31 mothers. This study related that there were no statistically significant differences between the constraints of distance education from the perspective of female teachers and mothers of pupils with learning disabilities. There were no significant differences between the constraints of distance education from the perspective of female teachers of students with learning disabilities attributed to the academic level and years of experience, and there were no significant differences. Sorry, I cannot see this due to the attributed to the academic level and job and social. Education has gone through many stages until it reached the stage of distance education, which contributed to the continuation and development of the education process, and is one of the most important modern means introduced in the field of education and contributed to raising its value and quality. In addition, it enables all users to interact through one platform and openness to various search resources across the web and take advantage of them. And Schlosser defined distance education as formal education in which learning groups are separated and interactive communication systems are used to link the learners and the educational resources and also the teachers together. There are four basic components to this definition. If one of these axes is absent, distance education will not be completed according to that what has been prepared for it, which are the first component. This type is based on the idea of formal institution, which makes it different from the term self-learning or independent education. The mentioned institutions may be traditional schools, colleges, and many educators and trainers support these institutions that provide distance education in order to increase the efficiency provided through it, including the provision of accredited and trusted certificates through these institutions.
Mr. Riyad, you still
Yes.
at the abstract.
Still at the abstract, sorry.
Okay.
So now you can see the first component.
Okay, good. Okay, you can.
Okay, so I'll continue like this to avoid this. The second component, this type depends on the idea of distance between the teacher and the pupil. Not only the spatial distance, that is the pupil is one place and the teacher is another place, but also includes temporal divergence as well. Asynchronous distance education means that education is provided at one time and received from the pupil at another time, which means that there is a flexibility in timing and in dealing based on convenience between the teacher and the pupil. So it is a necessity to define well the degree of spacing of time and space between the teacher and the pupil, because the teachers are completely and fully aware of the information they provide in the curriculum, which may be difficult for pupils. And here we note the importance of reducing the impact of organized distance education. The third component is interactive communication, and his interaction is neither synchronous or asynchronous. And this type is of a great impact, but at only the expense of education curriculum. It is important to provide an appropriate interaction for learners with each other and their teachers within the educational process. And this interaction is a priority for learning, but it must be made available to. The fourth component, it is the link between the pupils and the curriculum and the teachers at the same time. In this sense, that is, the teacher must interact with educational resources or curriculum and also with the pupils for the educational purposes. For the educational purpose to be of high quality, this source of or curriculum must be subject to modifications and appropriate preparations in order to be suitable for this type of education, so that it is designed according to the experience and desired goals of the educational process. And this includes images, videos, and appropriate presentations. The technology and education for people with learning disabilities. As you know, computer technology tools can help pupils with learning disabilities to overcome many of the problems that they face academically. That is, harnessing this technology to contribute to the educational process, but it must be known that it is not a magic solution that will eliminate all problems, but help to solve them. General computer applications. There are many applications and systems and systems that ordinary people use and consider them generally, but they can be harnessed to teach learning disabilities. For example, the linguistic correction systems and word process. It can be used for those who have disabilities with writing and spelling, text revision and proofreading, as well as punctuation and linguistic correction. The second is expression development system, which helps the pupils to write the entire text without referring to the errors contained in the text, and then presses the button to identify the existing errors until the pupil finishes his work without distractions that affect his completion of the text. Third is spelling correction system. It helps pupils with reading and spelling disabilities by coordinating letters and spacing between words. The fourth is organizing daily life skills system. There is a category of learning disabilities who suffer from developmental disabilities related to memory disorders. These applications help them to organize tasks and well for them, and then remind them to achieve this task. For the research methodology, this research follows the descriptive comparative method, and this method is based on collecting data and testing hypotheses. It studies reality, then describes quantitatively and qualitatively. The quantitative description in this research is used to clarify the size of phenomenon and the degree of its connection with another phenomenon. The research sample consisted of female teachers and mothers of pupils with learning disabilities in the primary level in Jubail. The number of female teachers was 18. The sample chosen by intentional method. The number of mothers was 31. For answering the research questions, it is and its hypothesis and achieving its goals. Questionnaires was designed to collect data from the target sample so that research reviewed the previous literature and reviewed the tools related to research variables. It was used in preparation. It was used in preparing questionnaire that was presented to a number of experts and specialists, and then applied to survey sample of 10 in order to ensure validity and reliability of the questionnaire. The questionnaire in its final form consisted of teacher's version and mother's version, 30 items distributed over 4 axes in both versions. First axis is constraints related to educational environment, and the second axis constraints related to curriculum. The third axis constraints related to teacher, mother, and the fourth axis constraints related to the pupil. Conclusion: there were no statistically significant differences in the average degrees of distance education constraints from the point of view of mothers of pupils with learning disabilities according to the academic level. There are no statistically significant differences according to the job of the mother. There are no statistically significant differences according to the economic and social levels of the family. There is an increase in the degree of distance education constraints from the point of view of teachers and mothers of pupils with learning disabilities. There are also no significant differences according to the academic level nor to the years of experience. The research recommendations is to providing training courses for teachers and mothers about distance education and dealing with its requirement within the educational platform, employing the role of technical support in training female teachers to manage distance education and technical troubleshooting, providing programs to help teachers choose the appropriate medium for each lessons of pupils with learning disabilities. School administrations is to provide several options for study schedules that suits working hours of mothers and in their various jobs. Thank you, everyone, and if there is any questions, we'll be happy to answer.